Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt here at Sheepdog Response. We're back today with some great equipment. Today we're reviewing the SIG Sauer thermal sight. This particular one is the SIG Sauer ECHO SV50 LRF. It is their top of the line thermal sight in 50 millimeter, and this thing is fantastic. It's like having a superpower looking through this thing. Today we're gonna talk about all the quirks and features of the SV50 LRF, what it brings to the game, because it is a game changer. But the first thing we're gonna talk about today when we're talking about the SV50 LRF high-end thermal sight is about the rugged structure of this thing. This thing is built rugged for the outdoors. All right, it's not fully waterproof, but it is water resistance IP67 standard. So it's good to 1 meter for 30 minutes, although I don't recommend putting it underwater, but it's good for the outdoor environment. It'll handle the rain, the snow, the weather, anything you might encounter in an outdoor setting. It has very big rubberized button panel on the top. Everything's sealed. It's made for outdoors use. It's made for a hunting application. It's a fantastic ruggedized sight that you can take into the field no problem. It's set up on a Picatinny rail, offset, so you can run it all the way back. Like here we have it on a SIG 400. You can run it all the way back and still get good eye relief to the cup. Fixes to a Picatinny rail fantastically. Comes with a lens caps and an eye cup, nice to keep your lenses protected, make sure it stays safe. It runs on 18650 batteries. The ones that come with it are rechargeable. It's a battery pack. It's actually USB-C rechargeable pack, so completely rechargeable. But if you want to take it in the field and you were worried about the rechargeable aspect of it, you could get disposable 18650s and bring those along. So it's a fantastic field application thermal sight that's got some special features that are gonna blow your mind. This thing is top of the line without a doubt. It's SIG's top of the line, but without a doubt, it is a direct comparison to some of the best thermal models that are on the market today. This thing really, really brings the heat. As far as the specifications on this thing, the magnification is a 2:16 power. It's got a resolution of 640 by 512. The overall height of this thing is 3.5 inches and the overall length is 10.7 inches. So it's still in the realm of compact, especially when you take into account all the features that this thing has. All right, that takes care of all the specifications, at least most of them. Let's get into the real nitty gritty about the user features, the things that you're gonna wanna know that this thing does. And man, does it do a lot. So it's very, very user-friendly. I've used a lot of thermal sights in the past. This one is particularly user-friendly. When SIG Sauer made this, they made it easy to use. So much so that most of them have this type touchpad on the top. So not only are they marked to say what they're good for, they have a little embossed impression on there so you can feel tactile, that can feel what the button does. It's laid out in a very easy to use pattern, but on top of that, not only does the menu for the controls appear here on the top when I feel it, it also appears in reticle. So what's nice is I can call it the menu and the key for the menu inside, so I know what all these buttons do on the outside while I'm still looking through the optics. So that's a fantastic feature that SIG Sauer put in here. Usability and user friendliness on this thing is through the roof. Of all the thermal optics I've shot on the market, this one is probably top of the list as far as usability and being friendly to the user. And that's what I love the most about it, is like this thing was not difficult to figure out for somebody who's new into the thermal game and you wanna get a high-end thermal optic, one that'll definitely do the trick. This one you'll find is easy to adapt to, easy to learn, and easy to use in the field while you're developing the knack for shooting with thermals. If you get the opportunity to use thermals, I highly recommend this for its usability. So although it has a resolution of 640 by 512, it has an optical resolution of 1024 by 768. So it's a very high resolution optic. It's designed to see things out to 1,000 yards clearly, and we tested it. We looked at objects out to just short of 1,000 yards, about 945 yards. We're able to easily pick up heat signatures. Things that we couldn't see with the naked eye stood out like a sore thumb in this thing. That is exceptional for an optic in this range. Thermal optics in this range, like again, I was hunting with optics and looking through optics, first generation optics, and you couldn't see things much past 100 yards, let alone 1,000 yards. But this thing was picking out heat signatures of animals in the bush, almost 1,000 yards away, that you could not see with the naked eye and you could barely see with an optic, even at full zoom. Okay, so the zoom on this, so the magnification on this optic, like I said, is 2:16. It's graduated in between, so you can hit graduated stops in between, so you can do 8 power. The nice thing about it is I can set the different lengths that I want. So like we discussed out there, if a certain magnification is what I want and I don't want to stop at these other magnifications, I actually can eliminate them from the menu and just set it up for 3 magnifications, whatever I want from the lowest to the highest. That's a fantastic feature, so I can streamline it to my own liking, which is fantastic. That's neat. It's fully customizable. That's beautiful. It comes with an array of different color palettes in here. So there's separate color palettes. That's been around for a while in a lot of thermals. Of course, this one has white hot, black hot, rainbow, which is very popular. Makes you feel good, good feeling, right? Leprechauns. But the idea here is that I can pick different color palettes that help different things stand out to me. And without a doubt, the best that I saw and the best I'm willing to say in the industry that I've seen is the red hot in here. Red hot gives you a white hot, black hot palette, but emphasizes heat signatures in red. Now, I've looked through some great thermals with red hot, and a lot of times as you move around, look from place to place, you get a lot of artifact or interference that looks red, and you kind of have to make the decision, is that really a heat signature or not? Or it'll skew the palette across the entire screen, and while you're moving, you'll get a lot of red flashes and stuff. I didn't get any of that with this. When I looked through this, the only thing that pops red are heat signatures, and it literally just highlighted the heat zone, and which was basically where the vitals were in every animal that we looked at. Now, we did look at animals here. We were out at Buckhorn Ranch, a good friend of ours out at Buckhorn Ranch. We did put this on a system, but we had no bolt in, no ammunition in, adhere to the laws within your state. And so here in Texas, like maybe in your state, you can hunt at night with it, which is great. So if you're hunting hogs, that's legal here. Or if you're hunting predators at night, you can. And that's where this thing is gonna make its money. You'll be able to, especially if you have a ranch. So some ranch owners just have them because they wanna be able to observe at night and see what they're dealing with as far as predators or invasive species. And that's where this thing makes its money. It's worth every penny because everything pops. Now we have some footage so you can see, like I said, the footage that you'll see is of us just observing different animals, some exotics, some very cool animals that they have out at Buckhorn, just so you can get an idea of how easy it is to spot animals with this thing. We were able to use this on an overcast day, not even at night, and still see things fantastically bright through this thing. Yeah, and just like with the magnification, I can pick the color palettes that I want and eliminate the ones I don't want. Again, fully customizable. If I don't want the rainbow color palette, if I don't want the Arctic color palette, I just want white hot, not black hot, I can go in there and eliminate the ones, hide them so that I don't see them as I'm scrolling through my menu. So this thing is fully customizable to what you like. The benefit there is in most sites, I have to scroll through a lot. And the problem is if the two that I want aren't right next to each other, I wind up scrolling through three that I don't want before I get the ones I want. And sometimes it's good to switch back and forth from one to another. This way I can eliminate the chaff, just put in the ones I want, the ones that I use all the time. I'm telling you, white hot to red hot, game changer, amazing. Those are the ones that I use the most. So white hot and red hot, they pop. Every once in a while, it's flipping over to black hot. If you just want those three, and those are the three that you need, you put them in, you customize it in the menu, and you don't have to mess with all the other ones. All right, the next one of the main features that you're gonna notice on this side, tough to miss, is this thing does come with an integral rangefinder. In there's a separate reticle. I put that separate reticle, and I'm able to rangefind. We were able to, we compared this to another rangefinder they have, a very nice high-end SIG Sauer rangefinder, and it was spot on. So we were getting great range calls all the way out to the farthest distances we were looking. So it has an integrated rangefinder, all in the same optic with your thermal optic. So I get thermal, I get magnification, I get choice of color palettes, I get range finding, all in the same optic that mounts easily to the system. You can see that's in a comfortable, easy to use size now. All right, you should also know one of the main features this thing has, it has video recording. It does record content, so you're able to record your A-reel off this, or if you're using it as an environmentalist or as a naturalist or somebody who's managing a ranch, I can record while I'm looking through this. It does have that rangefinder. It does have record capability. I can tie it in with the SIG BDX app. It does do ballistic calculation, so I can program things in here. It works as a ballistic calculator. It works as a recording device. It actually records before and after shot. So if you do take a shot, it'll hold on to 10 seconds before and 10 seconds after the shot. So I can go back and look through it. And I can send that video Bluetooth to my phone. Now it won't show real time to a separate source. I can send it to my phone, and that way I can keep any files that I want to. It does all that in this system. All right, let's talk quickly about the reticle choices that we have when we look through the viewfinder. This thing comes with 5 different reticles that you can choose from. Everything from a host between crosshairs, dots, circle dots, so anything from the tactical realm to the hunting realm or accuracy shooting realm, it's all inside there, plus the BDX reticle. And so With that ballistic data in there, I can change the location of the reticle. So again, when we were out in the field, we were able to set up the reticle for a particular distance out to a certain feature. That way I can set it up with known reticle distances already in here, already programmed in, and that way it's easy for me to transfer from one distance to another or understand where the animals I'm looking at are inside this thing. With the range finding feature, the BDX feature, the way I can tie it into the SIG app on the phone, there's so much going on here, but believe me, it's incredibly user-friendly. None of this was difficult to figure out. It was a simple interface. It's a fantastic user-friendly optic. And an extra added feature when you're talking about ballistics calculation is this thing has a super simplistic zeroing process, which means I take a shot, I simply move the reticle to where that shot impacted, and then the calculations are done in here, and it readjusts the reticle and works the zero for me. So this thing almost zeroes itself. That's a fantastic feature. If you don't understand how to zero, it takes into account all the information like height over bore, the type of round that you're shooting, all that information that's in a ballistic calculator, and then I just move the reticle, program it, and say, hey, I shot here, but my impact was here. It does the calculation, resets the system, and then it's zeroed. Probably one of the easiest zeroing systems that you can imagine. I suspect that we're gonna see that a lot more and more from future optics as they come in and they have more digital aspects to them. But that is fully packed into this system already as you get it. All right, let's talk briefly about the price. That's what everyone wants to know. What's the price point of this amazing piece of furniture for your weapon system? SIG Sauer retails these at about $4,500. So you're looking at about $4,500. Again, this is the highest end thermal optic they have in this range, but with all the features, you could spend a lot more purchasing all those systems to have them in separate pockets, whereas I have them all in one compact ruggedized frame right here. So really, if you think of it that way, the price point is not bad. So at $4,500, it's a fantastic optic and light years ahead of the optics that I've been using throughout the years. I will say this, SIG has really stepped up their optic game in the last 5 years, and they're starting to produce some phenomenal optics. I think probably a little bit longer than 5 years ago, closer to 10 years ago when I first started getting into trying out some SIG optics. They weren't the quality they are now, but now it's night and day. Big difference from SIG Sauer. SIG Sauer is really investing a lot in really good optics, and this is one of them. I would put this as a flagship thermal optic on the market today. Well worth the money if you're looking for a good thermal. They're high-end thermal. You know, we'll go into some of the pros and cons following this, but without a doubt, it is a very nice thermal optic. So let's talk about the pros. Number one off the top of the list, pros, excellent thermal resolution. With this 50mm lens, it is a fantastic sight to look through. Everything is very clear in this thing. It's very clear resolution at the price point and the size, 50mm, can't beat it. The refresh rate on this thing is 50 Hertz. So the refresh rate is smooth. It's not choppy when you look through it. It's got an awesome, awesome look to it when you look. Very clear resolution. Number one, top of the heap. The second is its ruggedized build. It's very ruggedized. It's not too big, not too beefy, but with all the features that you have on here, it's built very well. You can tell it's built well when you put it, from everything from the eye cup to all the controls on it, to the battery cap, to the controls on the top. You can tell it's built very well, built very rugged. The next pro for this thing is that integrated laser rangefinder. This is a complete ballistic calculator with a very accurate laser rangefinder already built into it. Again, prevents me from having to use a secondary source, especially if I'm using it in low light situations. Having that laser rangefinder is clutch. And then the last thing, as I've stated many times in this video, is just how user-friendly this thing is. That's where SIG Sauer really killed it. This thing is so intuitive and so user-friendly compared to some of the thermal sites that I've seen. You're gonna find that it's very easy to use, very easy to program, and all the menus appear in the reticle, which makes it very easy to adjust. So I'm doing a lot of work up here, but I don't have to constantly look back and forth. Most of those instructions, they pop up right in reticle, and so it's great. It's just like working on your on an app on a phone where you're looking through the optic on here, and I can make all those adjustments in with a little bit of movement, and it's super user-friendly. I can't say enough how user-friendly this thing is. Let me throw an additional pro in there, and it's a big one for the SIG Sauer ECHO thermal optic, is that it has a lifetime warranty. It is lifetime warranty. No matter what happens to this thing, if you send it back to SIG, they're gonna repair it or replace it. And that's huge, especially when you're investing this much into an optic. So that's nice to know. Some other companies might leave you in the lurch, but SIG Sauer has put a phenomenal lifetime warranty on this thing. So they're standing behind their product. I can see why it's so ruggedized and built so well. I can understand why they can confidently offer that. Just know that this thing has a lifetime warranty from SIG Sauer on it. Thanks SIG Sauer for thinking of the average guy, especially when they're spending this kind of money. So there you go, lifetime warranty. You can't pass that up. All right, now to get to the cons. Let's talk about the cons. There's not many of them, but we need to address them. First and foremost, let's talk about the price. At that price, it's gonna price most folks out of this thing, all right? It's still, although the thermal optics are getting better and the prices are coming down, most certainly, at $4,500, it still may not be attainable for everybody. They do have some step down models of this and some smaller models. Again, we're talking about the highest end model, but at $4,500, this is the highest and most feature packed thermal that you can get from SIG Sauer and probably from a lot of companies. So if it's worth it if you want to save up, but at $4,500, it's still not going to be attainable for everybody. And the next con that I'm going to talk about is the weight. Because of its size with all thermals, and even though relative to many thermals, it's small, it's heavier than a normal optic. It's not very heavy per se, but compared to a normal optic, you are gonna feel the weight difference. And so if you're going into the bush and you're taking this thing, it's gonna ride slightly heavier than most optics would. I wouldn't call it heavy, but it's heavier than most optics. So you do have to take that weight into account. It's a slight con when I'm switching over to thermals in general. But on this one, the bulkiness and the extra weight, you're definitely gonna detect it. And then the last thing that I'll talk about is digital zoom. Because it's not an optical system, it's a digital system. Remember, there's no direct translation. It's all electronics from the lens to the optic viewfinder, all right? Your zoom, as I zoom out, is slightly pixelated. It's very difficult to detect, but it's not gonna be crystal clear like you're looking through a optical zoom. It is digital zoom, and just like with your phone or anything else, the more you zoom in, the less clear that picture will become. Here, it is barely detectable, but for somebody who's very discerning or somebody who's used to looking through, really good glass or really good glass optics, you're gonna tell the difference. It is a digital zoom, right? As all these are a digital zoom. Yeah, I'm just gonna add one bonus point on there that's kind of a con. You can tell us about it in the comments if you think so or not. With thermals, if you don't know, you're gonna have difficulty. You can't see through glass, and you're not gonna be able to see through like dense fog. So if the conditions are dense and foggy, or if you're in a blind that has glass windows and you wanna keep them closed because of environmental conditions, you're not gonna be able to look through those. All those kind of defeat thermals. That's not just SIG Sauer, that's most thermals in general. They're gonna get defeated by any kind of barrier that they have to look through that you might be able to see through with optics. You can certainly glass, looking through a standard optic, through glass, that's doable. And in foggy conditions, you can still make stuff out with an optical magnifier, but with thermals, you don't have that benefit. So just food for thought that if you're gonna get into thermals and you're gonna use this thing in foggy conditions, or you're planning on looking through glass, say for instance, you got a big blind and actually have windows on it that keeps you nice and cozy inside, you're not gonna be able to see thermal signatures through that. So that's just food for thought. If you wanna see more of the features of this thing, you can go check them out at the SIG Sauer website. It's got a comprehensive list of the features. It comes with 2 sets of batteries, rechargeable batteries. It is MOTAC. It has SIG's MOTAC shake-awake system. It does all these fantastic things. It's got a 1,000-yard rangefinder in it. It's all that built into the system. Go look at the full list of features at sigsauer.com and look at and see, and then make the decision. Is this thing worth it? Is it the next generation of thermal sights? Is it keeping up with the new modernizations of thermal sights? I'm here to tell you, I think it is, but I'd love to hear your arguments. So like and subscribe to these videos. If you like these videos, it gives us the ability to make more and more of these videos. Check us out at Sheepdog Response on YouTube. And if you want to learn how to live train with optics like this, we got a night vision course coming up where we're going to do thermals and night vision out there. We're going to do all the training in our night vision blast course. Check that out at sheepdogresponse.com and keep checking out our videos, and we'll keep making them for you.